All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of August, 2026, and this is the Cluster API office hours. Cluster API is a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidelines, which can be summarized as please be excellent to each other. And if you'd like to talk, please raise your hand and I will call on you. At the beginning of our meetings, we like to give a little time to welcome new attendees or new community members who'd like to introduce themselves. So I will be quiet for a few seconds here, and if you would like to say hi or introduce yourself, please feel free.
Hello, I'm kind of new to Cluster API meetings, but I'm from Oxide Computer, and so we started working on a CAPI provider and open source that not too long ago. So previously, I worked on Carpenter at AWS. So like Almiko, you're very familiar to me, so good to see you. But yeah, glad to be here. Hoping to get more involved in Cluster API as we continue down this road.
Awesome. Welcome aboard, Brandon. Yeah, I was like, hey, that's a familiar face. We can get you in on the Carpenter Cappy project if you're interested. Or maybe you've had too much Carpenter.
Never. No, that sounds great.
Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, welcome. All right. I'm not seeing anyone else unmuting or raising their hands, so we will move on. Do we have any open proposals at this point? Yes, Manifest Publishing via OCI. I was just reading that this morning. Do we have Richard here? Or does anyone want to talk about this one? I guess I can just give a summary real quick. Richard has a nice proposal up here talking about how the artifacts for a cloud provider could be stored as image layers and published, as OCI image layers, basically. It's an interesting read. I don't have a lot of deep opinions on the internal mechanisms of it, but it seems like an interesting read at the least. So I would encourage folks to go take a look at it. Seems like it's in the review stage now. Alrighty, let's get into our discussion topics. So Fabrizio, you've got the first one with the next Kate's release, so please take it away.
Yep, this is only a PSA. So next week there is a Kubernetes release, and the plan is to immediately after make a copy release with official support for the new Kubernetes release. So if things goes right, everything goes right, we will get this by the end of the week.
Cool. Does anybody have questions or comments about that? Okay. I'm not seeing any hands going up or anything, so I think you're good to move on to the next topic, Fabrizio.
Yep, thank you. So if, as probably every one of you knows, we introduced in the in-place update feature some times ago. And one of the pillar of the in-place update feature that we design is the fact that all the in-place updates are considered as potentially disruptive. And this was, let me say, the naive, the first assumption, because everything can go wrong. So, and basically when we start in place, we consider this as unavailable, and then we use this information, for instance, in machine deployment to decide when we have to use mass surge, when we can create and do the create and delay machine gaze that leads to completing the rollout. What does it mean? So what is the most, let me say, the most evident effect of this is that in case you don't have max availability, basically, since we are considering the first, the in place as disruptive, so leading to an high availability, when you first start in place, we don't have a viability budget. So it's not possible to immediately start Ampere in place. So what we do is that we first scale up. Then we have a viability budget, and the rest of machine gets updated in place. Finally, when we are at the end, we have we delete basically the last machine because we already have a new one in the desired state. And this is all good. It works well, but as part of the first round of feedback that we are getting about in place, basically we are getting a feedback that not all the in place changes are the same, and in some cases there is a good chance that your change is not impacting availability. Let's make an example. If I'm changing in place the SSH password is not affecting Kubernetes API server. So you can do this and being convinced and with a good confidence that this does not affect availability. Some other changes, maybe I'm going to change, some DNS network configuration. Yeah, there is a risk that this impact availability. So maybe be conservative. Or I'm going to change in place some API server parameter and I have to restart API server. So maybe it's better to create another API server and stuff like that. So TLDR is that in some cases, the current behavior makes sense. It basically, it goes on the safe side. It gives you the protection of the spare machine when you perform a change. Okay, the safe net of the additional machine. In some other case, this seems unnecessary. I'm using in place why I need to, and I'm doing a very silly change. Why I can do, why I have to create an additional machine. So I think this is a good feedback. And the plan is to try to address this by introducing an enhancement that allows the runtime extension that we call when we ask basically to the external component, hey, can you do it in place, to return additional information that tells Capi, yes, I can do it, and based on my knowledge, this information is not affecting availability. And so Capi will basically use this new information to avoid creating the spare machine. Important comment. So, and then I stop for question. It is, if you look this from a certain point of view, it is an interesting feature. It could be a foot gun. If you use this for changes that can actually lead to availability, then you will have a problem without the safe net of the additional machine. And this could be really dangerous for the control plane, especially. Maybe for worker node, but for control plane. So yeah, and I stop here.
Who's got questions for Fabrizio about this? I mean, I know I do, but I want to give other folks a chance as well. Okay, well, I'll go ahead with mine and maybe that'll help other people. I think this sounds good and I'm learning more and more about in place. I wanted to ask about something related here because like I've been working with a community member who was looking at proposing like a backup, backup options in the in-place updates. And I'm curious, like, would it be better to advise that person to kind of like maybe synchronize with you about the enhancement that's coming? I can, let me grab a link here. Oh, I think I already have.
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
By the way, definitely yes. This is community, and I think that talking and chatting and sharing opinion is part of the game. So this is why I'm sharing this thing.
Okay, I guess like because Liang Kwang, I know he reached out to Stefan a couple times, and he reached out to me as well to kind of look at this. I'm just wondering, like, is it like, would it be? I don't know if this is even like, is this even appropriate to like propose now? Like, it looks like it's an
So
addition to the in-place updates.
let me do this. So if you want, I can give you a first take on this idea. I still need time to come up with a full feedback. but it is orthogonal to this proposal. So what I just discussed is sort of orthogonal to this proposal. So maybe let's see if there are other questions about what I just brought up,
Yeah.
and then we switch to this one.
Yeah, no, perfect. Yeah, I didn't want to try and interrupt because I realize it's kind of like you said, it's kind of tangential or parallel.
Hmm.
Does anybody else have questions about what Fabrizio is talking about here with the max on availability?
Okay, so by the way, I'm going to open an issue where I explain this in the idea of upgrades that do not impact availability a little bit more, maybe open a PR that amend the proposal. So I'm going to follow up and expand the topic. I just wanted to bring it up because, let me say, this is one of the points that I have after one or two release that in place is out, basically. After I'm going through my notes and feedback that I got about the feature.
Okay. Well, it seems like we have no other questions or comments about it.
Yeah, let me spend two. So I have to read the Liang proposal in detail, try to figure it out, everything. But from a quick glance, it seems orthogonal because what Liang is asking that there is a way for blocking rollouts, from blocking rollouts to happen. So he is looking for achieving basically a world where capping never rollouts machine, which is impossible if you consider machinal check, remediation, scale up, scale down, etc., etc. Even if you think at the very definition of what a rollout is is very fuzzy because what is a rollout? Imagine that you have a machine deployment and you change the spec, the first rollout start, you change the spec another again. So you are in the middle rollout, another rollout start, and then you scale up. And then another rollout happen. So all the mess that is happening that Capi is handling, like basically Capi doesn't know that it is a rollout. It only knows that it's not at the desired state. But before you can have a chain of event that could be complex. You can be missing replicas because someone scaled up. You can have replicas at different stage of all the specs. Okay, what does it mean blocking rollouts? What is a rollout really? So in terms of yeah, logically understand we speak about a rollout, but when we go down, I want to block rollouts. What does it mean? I go and set pause rollouts. But what does it mean? If there is a remediation, I cannot create and delete a machine. So
Right. This is
there
almost the
are
exact opposite, right? Like wanting to never block it, right?
yeah, exactly. So what I discussed before was we go on, we apply the change, we are just smarter in decide how we handle it. Here
Right.
it is basically either we do rollout or we block. But
Right.
what we block is not really clear. So I have to come up with some good comment that goes down and goes down and try. Yeah, I understand the concern. There are people that tell, oh, now we have GPU stuff like that. You know, creating the latest machine is getting more and more difficult, etc., etc.
Right.
But we are not in a world where your machine can live forever. And
Right.
CAPI and the goal of CAPI is to handle those situations. So I think that stopping a rollout sound apart from what is a rollout, but the very idea of stopping a rollout seems bad. I think what we need is more control on rollouts.
Yeah. Well, and I think the motivating example that you talked about, uh, like changing the SSH key or something like that, right? Changing like something where you don't necessarily want to have this behavior, happen, and then the user could change like the max unavailability or something. That to me made a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, uh, another example was, oh, if the user asks a change that cannot be performed in place, we should stop a rollout. But why you allow change that cannot be performed? So if you don't want to it's like I tried. Are we really acting in the right place? Because I don't understand. Yeah, I have to look into it. So TLDR, I have to look into it. There is something that sounds strange to me about the request. Maybe there is one angle of this that could make sense. Like I got uh, the user made a change, and somehow I want to block a rollout because I figure it out that the rollout will lead to an error.
Right.
So I don't know. The user give me an inconsistent configuration, and somehow I want to block before applying the wrong configuration.
Right. Right.
That could be something that makes sense, but I really have to think about it.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense to me. And I guess like when you get when you get your issue opened up, I'll be curious to take a read for sure.
Yeah, but my issue is, is orthogonal to this. Is
Right.
more goes in the direction of more control.
Right.
This issue goes in another direction that I don't know if. Yeah,
I would even
I
say
have
they're
to.
going in opposite directions at some level. Because like, yeah,
Yeah,
what you're talking about here is kind of like being able to stop it and being able to like have an arrestable situation. Whereas like what Leon Klong's talking about is like it being able to charge through no matter what's going on, so that you can give it all these backup options to try out.
to
Okay,
be
cool.
honest, I don't remember that there is even a mention of backup in the proposal. So,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's called fallback or something. Could it be?
yeah, go ahead, Stefan.
Oh, I just said it's not called backup in the proposal. In this PR, it's called fallback.
Fallback, yeah, sorry. All right, cool. Does anybody else have questions or comments about what Fabrizio is proposing here? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up or people unmuting. So yeah, I guess we'll look forward to your issue and as the next steps. Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda, and we have no provider updates or feature group updates. So I'll give folks a last chance to add topics if they have anything ad hoc they want to bring up. Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll call this a meeting. Thanks for coming out, everybody, and yeah, we'll see you next time.